Hey, this week 18. It's Tuesday. Well, I changed my shot day to Tuesday because Wednesday it's too crazy and stuff for me to actually take time to actually take a shot. Considering from 8:30 to 10 at night, from 8:30 in the morning to 10 at night, it's go go go. There's no stop. Okay, so now shot day's on Tuesday and today's Valentine's Day. Yay! It's lovely couples day. I hate Valentine's Day because of it. Alright, so last week I did do like a part one thing because there is a lot of different things in history. Figure I'll do another part, but first before I start talking about like some fun facts and stuff, fun note in today's historical times, Washington State is now legal for same-sex marriages, and New Jersey, where I live, our New Jersey Senate has voted same-sex legal, but our governor plans to veto it. So yeah, we have a state that's willing to give us same-sex marriage, but we have a governor who has a stick up his ass and unwilling to do what the people want. Like, I really hate our governor. Because, like, I call him a monarchy because he doesn't listen to the people. He does what he wants. And he never asks the people for their opinion. He just does it. And, like, there's been several communities in our state that have been destroyed because of his new policies and stuff. I remember there was one town in our state that depended on this one plant or something. I forget what it was they depended on, but it was, like, basically this town's, like, livelihood. And he shut it down, and now this entire town is like basically falling apart because of it. So yeah, on that brighter note, New Jersey's willing to have same-sex marriages, but we have a fucking prick with a freaking pole up his ass. I'm willing to do anything. Yeah, so yeah. So though he has plenty of people hating him in this state, I don't think he's getting reelected. Because he's trying to get rid of Rutgers. He unemployed 10,000 teachers. He cut actually our own government. Like all the lawyer judges and lawyers and stuff, like lost their jobs thanks to his budget cuts. So like dude, you're not getting reelected. Like you caused so many people to lose their jobs in New Jersey. No. And also New York City, I don't think likes him. They don't like him because of what he did with the tunnel project. He fucked with them, and then it was like, nope, not happening. After they started building. Okay, so I should not be talking about politics, but the man does get on my nerves and very angry, and someone needs to take that pole out of his ass. Because quite literally, anyone who's living in New Jersey, we basically all hate him. And the funny part was, someone outside state said, because like they are looking at his numbers, they're not looking at what he's doing, said that he should run for president. And this was a Facebook post too. I forget what group posted that Chris Christie should run for president. And everyone who lived like outside of New Jersey were like, yeah, this guy has gotten the numbers down, he's done this, he's done that. Everyone in New Jersey, that lived in New Jersey, who posted on that, was like, no, you don't understand what he's doing. It's like, yeah, he got the spending down, got these certain numbers down, and he's gotten a lot of bills passed, but it's like, you're not looking at what the effect is. Like, the effects have been really bad. Okay, so on brighter note, Washington, D.C. has same-sex marriage now, so, yeah. Okay, there's another thing let's say, so it's like, and also brighter note, Greece is finally fighting back against the European, like, Euro Union or something, which I'm very happy about, like, but Berlin's not willing to let them go. And I'm happy with that, because, like, Greece wants to get out of the Euro, and wants to get their own economy back up, because the Euro actually destroyed their economy. and Berlin's not willing to let them go. But I'm glad that they want to get that the government's actually getting out now, because riots and stuff are happening in there, because the government's willing to sell their historical property as a way to try and make money and give their historical monuments to falling neighboring countries as a way to get money back in the economy. And the people, they threw a riot. They're like, no, you're not giving up our history. And also, Greece is actually was one of the also revolutions that was a success. Everyone always talks about the American Revolution being the only revolution to succeed. Greece was too. Greece followed a few decades after the American Revolution, and it was a success. So yeah, nobody really knows that about Greece, so it's like, yay. Okay, so I did part one of transgender history. This one more focused on LGBT, but more on the transgender side of LGBT. So, well, it's just fun facts that people usually don't know, and I think knowledge is important. So, let's guess I'll start. The LGBT organization didn't actually exist until the 1980s. It really did not exist until the 1980s. It's there was a very the LGBT actual community was very diverse up until that point. Well, up until the 90s, the LGBT community was so diverse. There were feminist lesbians, and they refused to work with gay men. There was this weird mental thinking with gays and lesbians, and they did not accept bisexuals and transgenders. They actually called them traitors. They called basically they considered bisexual before before the LGBTQ community actually came along. Lesbians and gays would consider bisexuals unwilling to be honest with themselves and unwilling to come fully out of the closet. Which I will say this: I do believe there is such thing as bisexual, and I have a few friends who are pansexuals, which is similar to bisexual. It's just pansexual. You don't really see gender; you see personality. And transgender people, they consider them traitors to the gay community. So yeah, when did the movement for? So the movement really got started. So for gay rights and stuff got started in the 1960s, and they didn't lesbians and the gays did not want to be associated with transgenders. They felt like transgenders were going to hinder their fight and make them unable to get their rights and stuff, make them look bad and stuff. So they wanted no associations with transgenders, and that's how a lot of organizations were. Transgenders were not allowed to join the gay and lesbian organizations. They were denied access. And so basically, even though you have this emerging community coming out, transgenders were still the ones left out of the loop. They were told, no, you're not allowed. You're different. You're strange. You're weird. You want to be an actual lesbian, actually stick to your original gender, and then fine. That's how it was seen. It was actually San Francisco was the first city in America that actually took the stand and decided, because they had an entire area where it was filled with a bunch of transgenders. And when you're a transgender back then, it's time the only job really available for you was literally to be a whore. So and a lot of them were usually on drugs, because they were on drugs because they had to sell themselves out, because the drugs made it easier to deal with the fact that they're selling themselves out. And they were when after World War II and stuff happened, and they were starting to rebuild buildings and stuff and make these nice, beautiful neighborhoods. When they got to the neighborhood where it was filled with transgenders and colored gay men and lesbians, this was the first community to say, no, we're not moving. You're not tearing down like where we live. That is like San Francisco became the first like city to actually start helping transgenders. They began trying to figure out, understand how to make life better and stuff. They were the first place in America to actually distribute out special gender identity cards, where it was like saying like they had documentation, they were registered as being this, but they're really this. So it's like they were able to actually go out and get jobs thanks to this card. So like yeah, San Francisco began doing the research, began doing like clinics and stuff to help them out. Um, but minor note, like yeah, San Francisco, there was still flaws. Like they like hormones and surgeries were being developed and made and stuff by this time. Um, yeah, like you couldn't like if you went to a clinic and stuff, like you had and you wanted to get hormones, you had to fit the bill perfectly, like the stereotypical transgender bill perfectly. And one thing is, like a lot of people, transgenders quickly picked up what they had to do, and they would lie just so they can get hormones, so they can live as their identity. But another note was, you told them you knew a lot of stuff, and like you think you're this and stuff. They think because you knew so much, it meant you weren't really transgender. So like they would deny you if they thought you knew too much. So that was a bad note. And there was another bad note. Oh yeah, and after they gave you hormones and stuff, like you were never allowed to review your past life. You were not allowed to reveal to anyone you were transgender or that you were originally born as a girl or a boy. Yeah, it was like there were still flaws. So San Francisco was the first one to actually help out, and it's actually considered like one of the safest places for transgenders, and it's considered a transgender community still. Too bad for all the smog. Okay, alright, well, homosexual, like the direct word homosexual, actually didn't come around until the 1950s. So up until this point, like, there really was no word for people who are gay or lesbian and transgenders and stuff, especially in modern day talking. Instead, since like the 1860s, the word that was usually used was third gender. So it's like, you're the third gender, oh, you like girls, you're a third gender. That's how it was, like, homosexuality didn't come around until 1950s, and it was meant to replace the word homophilia, homophile, which I have no idea what the hell that means. I need to actually look it up, but I can pretty much like get a good idea what the hell it means. So yeah, and that's how homosexual developed as such of a negative, like, this negative thought and this bad aroma to it. Because it was supposed to be a bad aroma. But for some reason, now it means being gay. Um, so the LGBT actual organization community didn't finally come together until 1988. That's actually my birth year, which is pretty cool. So they finally came together. They were still pretty negative and like very separate and segregated with each other. But 1988, they finally like said like, "Yo, we need to actually like being these small groups is not working. We need to actually pull together and make ourselves into a big group and get more people to see us." I do not know when the flag became their rainbow. I do not know about that. Is that on Wikipedia? Let me double check. Wow. Wikipedia, flag. Historical note. No, I do not see anything that says flag. I'll look that up later. Ooh, picture of rainbow flag. Does it say when it came? No, that's just a picture of a flag. It doesn't say when. Yeah, I do not know when the rainbow flag became the logo. So, but it wasn't until like the 1990s, like that's when the four diverse areas became actually respectfully unified with each other, and we associate this entire group as this unified group of fighting for fighting for rights and stuff, and trying to help each other. So, and that's really recent. Like 1990s, that's my childhood. That's like 10 years ago. Okay, maybe a little more than 10 years, like 15 years ago. But still, like, that's recent. Okay, one thing is, like, at the moment, like, there might be some add-ons to LGBT. They're thinking about adding a Q at the end, LGBTQ, for people in question, or just for the word queer or question, and in my opinion, I think question works better than queer, because queer kind of already got the gay and lesbian part. Because people wanted to be, like, um, statistically correct in terminology, and I really don't feel the need for it, because, like, when you say LGBT, people get it. These are people who are not a part of the norms in sexuality and gender identity. So, like, I think people get it. Like, I don't think we need to really add that on. But there are areas where you're gonna see the Q added on. That's a recent thing. Another recent thing is, like, intersex actually wants to get included onto the LGBT community. Though I think, like, unintentionally they are considered part of the transgender community. Like, unintentionally, so I don't know how I feel about that part. Like, in my opinion, like, I like if they're getting, in my opinion, like, they're already kind of part of the community, because, like, people associate them as being part of the transgender community. So I really think there's really no reason to call it LGBTI, because intersex, like, you're born that way. It's usually a chromosome disorder or something. While LGBT is, like, it's usually everything's more like mental and emotional instead of physical, instead of, like, yeah. If you're getting what I'm saying. So, like, but I feel like this small minor group wants to be part of the LGBT community to help them get recognized for their rights and stuff. I think that's a good idea, because LGBT is very big in America now. It's actually probably one of the largest minority groups. Because, like, intersexes are still, like, even though they're born this way, they're still fighting for their equal rights and their rights to their own bodies. So, yeah, so, like, I actually have no problem with intersex wanting to be added on, wanting to be considered part of this group, and they already are considered part of the group, so they're really, I think they just want the I added on so that way they'll be recognized as being part of, be more recognized as if they're their own individual group, so, yeah, and that's basically what the modern day LGBT community is, so, the DSM, the book We Must All Fear, mental diagnosis. Homosexuality was taken out in 1974, and that was the second book. And when they came out with the third book, which I believe was in the 1980, the DSM-3, gender identity disorder, was added, and now they're coming out with book number 5. It was supposed to come out in 2012. They pushed it back to 2013. And they're renaming gender identity disorder as gender dysphoria. And apparently the terms have gotten a lot better in there, so yeah, so there's a book that's affecting our community. So, I'm running out of time here, so I'll catch you all later. Oh, and be sure email me questions if anyone was actually interested in knowing stuff, because, like I said, I have no problem answering questions. See?